Hello everyone, it's Katie, founder and host of the Modern Priestess Project, and I am so excited today to bring you this conversation with Jessica from mantrasandmiracles.com. I'm actually recording out here in a beautiful autumn evening in St. Louis, and this time of year of feeling like this refresh and recharge is absolutely apparent. In my conversation with Jessica, she had me feeling incredibly inspired to go down a rabbit hole about Kundalini yoga, and as you'll see in our conversation, her entire energy is just absolutely so high vibe and high frequency. It was blowing me away in the conversation. It was so exciting for me to talk to her. I felt incredibly honored and it was just, I had so much gratitude to be connected to a woman like this. So I hope in this conversation you have that same experience as well. I would absolutely check out Jessica's newsletter. Is packed with amazing information. I read it 100% of the time I see it come through. I'm always super excited to see what she has to share, and I'm just so excited for you to meet Jessica and hear our conversation today. Enjoy. Welcome everyone, I'm Katie Burke and I'm here with Jessica from mantrasandmiracles.com, which is a favorite website of mine. Welcome Jessica, thank you so much for your time and fitting this in, because I know you are living on the Big Island in Hawaii and you've just traveled to California, so you've been like having probably a pretty intense week of travel, and I really appreciate you making time for this.
Totally, my pleasure. Yeah, I'm so glad to do this.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna jump right in. So I was introduced to you through your work with malas, but then once I found you and started digging deeper into your work, I was like, whoa, this woman does a lot more than just make malas. So I'm really excited to connect about some of the similarities that I see in myself and in you. One of the first things when I was reading about you is that you proclaim yourself to be this soul rebel. And I write about that on my site as well, about myself. So can you tell me a little bit about that and how, what does that rebellious spirit feel like for you?
Really, I think I've had that since, probably you too, since I was a child. Like, yeah. I am just kind of a rebel at heart. I'm one of those gals that, like, if you tell me not to do something, I'm going to have to try it just because you said not to.
Yeah.
But really, I mostly claiming that now is just to say that, I'm rebelling against all of the like shoulds, right? Like all of the shoulds that, especially as women, and I'm a mom, so as a mom in society and a woman in the society, all these things what we're supposed to do and be. And, I have really no interest in, like, playing that game. I have always kind of blazed my own trail in following my truth and following my heart. Yeah. And that's how I live my life. And so I think, a lot of people kind of want to live like that, but it's hard. And for me, it's never been a choice about not living like that. So that's kind of what I mean by the soul rebel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm true to this, and that's the path I follow, and not like this step by step. This is how you go through life and go through society.
Amazing. Yeah. So tell me about where that path has taken you. What are some of the projects and things that you're working on right now?
Well, most recently that path took me to my family and I, so it's my husband and I and our 2 kids and 2 dogs and 2 guinea pigs. We sold everything in Florida, and we sold everything, pretty much everything, and we put just a little bit of stuff into the back of his pickup truck and took the kids around the U.S. for a few months, and then we ended up moving out to Hawaii. So that was kind of like the biggest leap, and that was a huge leap because in the mostly in the past, me following my heart has been kind of decisions I made for myself. You know what I mean? Like what I did with my life or how I spent my time or where I invested my time. But this one was for the whole family. And so it it was scary. It was like a whole different level of trusting that jump and trusting the universe and trusting that intuitive message that I was getting, that it was the right thing for us to do. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of changed the game for me in all sorts of ways. I do the mantra infused jewelry, and I've been doing that for a couple years, and that kind of just grew out organically from my Kundalini yoga mantra practice. Mm-hmm. So, I'm still doing that on the island, and it functions about the same, except a little bit different because we're on solar, so like the internet is a little tricky. Mm-hmm. But now, what I really, really love kind of most to do is to teach Kundalini yoga. It's a practice that completely transformed my life.
That's what I want to talk to you about. That's what I've never gone to a Kundalini yoga class, and I'm not just saying this. After I found you and I started going through your blog, I was like, I have to try this. This is like, it looks life-changing.
Yeah, I mean, I had, I would say for me growing up in the world, like the world was a pretty difficult place to be. And I struggled, for many years when I was younger. I had eating disorders, serious drug addiction, alcoholism, like abusive relationships, kind of the whole gamut. And, of course those things are very complicated, but more than anything, it was like, I was this super sensitive being in the world mm-hmm. that had no idea how to frickin' survive being in this mm-hmm. world as a super sensitive being. And Kundalini yoga changed that for me. The way that the practice works, I would say the thing that it really changes the most is your auric field. And when your aura is strong, you have a container to keep that sensitivity, because that's important and that's essential. But to be able to contain yourself so that you're not affected by everything that is going on around you. And when I found Kundalini yoga, it was after, I'd been doing yoga for like 15 years. And it completely transformed my life. It is, it's such a blessing. It's really like this magical practice, because your entire life changes when you do the practice. And being the rebel that I am, I've had several times where I've stopped the practice, like on purpose. Like, okay, I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to see what happens. Like, can I kind of keep this trajectory of my life going really well if I don't do Kundalini yoga? Every time, like, fail every time. And then I pick the practice back up. Blessings. So right now, being in the age that we're in, really there is this shift happening like right now into the Aquarian age. We don't have, those of us that are like awake and aware, we don't have time to be kind of floundering around in our own drama and our own chaos. Mm-hmm. We're needed on this earth now to go serve. And so I'm really I'm really excited about, starting these online Kundalini courses so that a bunch of people can kind of get introduced into this practice. Because it doesn't have to be like you're all in white and you have the turban on and you're a devout Kundalini yogi. Like every single person can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes doing a kriya, doing a mantra that, changes the brain chemistry and changes the auric field, so we can go like serve and be, this term that Yogi Bhajan uses that I adore is to be a high caliber human being. Mm-hmm. So yeah. That is like,
oh my gosh, Mama, you are preaching modern priestess to me right now. Like that is what, this is what I'm hungry for, is taking this ancient knowledge and tell me how to apply it into my real life. So yes, I am fully supporting that. I am ready for more of that. So thank you for being in your purpose so strongly. I'm like feeling charged up just even listening to you talk about it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I've it would take a while, but I have experienced such tremendous transformation through it that I can, it's not like something I'm just preaching. Like I am excited every time I teach a Kundalini course or every time I introduce somebody to it, who hasn't heard of the practice, because I know the potential for transformation because I've experienced it like over and over again. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Okay, well, great. So I was going to ask like, how do we get started? But it sounds like you're crafting some courses, so we should keep an eye on what's coming out, from you then, because that was kind of I'm pretty hungry for figuring out how to start incorporating Kundalini yoga, because it's not really in my area. It's not, so it's going to have to be a practice that I do, at least right now, just on my own. So how can we get started with, like, what are the first steps?
Well, I would say, I'm in the process actually right now of getting set up on my website, just a really kind of simple page that you can refer to of like, this is the basics of Kundalini yoga. Here's the basic start for the practice. And then I will be offering courses, and it's my intent to, offer like kind of free introductory courses so that people can come in, and then other things that dive a little bit deeper.
Great.
So, when I first started, there wasn't a lot of Kundalini yoga in my area, and I went to my first class, and it was sometimes the Kundalini yoga practice can be a little weird, like a little bizarre. So I went to my first class, and it was one of those bizarre ones. And I remember in the middle of it, I like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? But then I left, and I was like, oh my God, what was that? And I went home, and I just started Googling, like, how to do Kundalini yoga. And I started a practice on my own. I didn't even know what I was doing, because I knew that I needed it. And I did hours of yoga every day for probably a year when I first found it, because I fell in love with it so deeply. But yeah, I mean, Kundalini has some things that you want to kind of get started. Like when we do the Kundalini practice, we always do a very specific mantra to tune in. So there's those kind of things that you want to kind of hop on a page in my website and check out that. And I have a lot, like I blog every month with like a suggested practice, and my forecast, like I do a monthly forecast usually, those always have suggested Kundalini mantras or meditations or practices. So
and I would say as a follower, your newsletter is also very well done, and it's always really informative. I always find myself reading it all the way to the end. It's great. So I would also recommend everybody get on your newsletter as well.
Have more of it, because I really just in the last like couple weeks, I'm really feeling this nudge of like this. I think I used to kind of address people like, here's this information for like the regular woman hungry for some spiritual information, and then here's some Kundalini information for those who are interested in yoga. And that separation in the last 2 weeks is like done for me. And I think it's that we've hit this specific period of time in where we're at of like, no, this is for everyone. Whether you're going to classes or you're practicing or getting up for sadhana, at 4 a.m, or you're just taking 5 minutes and doing a meditation, like this is a practice that can and will serve everyone. So that, the separation is gone now, and it's all coming together. Because I really think it's so important. Anyone tuned in right now can feel how crazy it's getting out there. Yeah, it's chaotic, and it's difficult to navigate, and it gets chaotic in here, and that's just going to keep getting turned up. Like that's going to get more and more and more. And Yogi Bhajan said, that is why he gave this practice, was that so there could be people who could be lighthouses who can lead everybody else who starts to go crazy in this Aquarian age, to peace, to calm, to happiness.
Yeah, so, absolutely. You said the word service, and my whole body got chills. So I would love to dig into that a little bit deeper. Like where do you see, and you've been talking a lot about this, but I feel kind of guided to, let's talk more about service. And go ahead.
Name is actually, my Kundalini yoga spiritual name is Sevapreet, which Seva is service. So Sevapreet is one who lives and loves to serve God in all. So Seva, service, is like, that's my deepest joy. That's, for me, that's the purpose of, anything that I'm doing, that's kind of the root of it, is how does it serve?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about, so I also want to ask you about your, the mantras, or I'm sorry, not the, let's talk about mantras. That just like spelled out of my mouth. I was going to say malas, but I said mantras. So I feel like maybe that's where we should go. Tell me about, I've been following, so by the time this goes out, it's going to be over, but right now we're like in eclipse season. You have an awesome, I came in like when you guys were in like day 8. is when I saw it. So I'm not doing it this time around, but if you do it again or something, I really, tell me about this mantra practice that you are hosting.
So, well, the one we're doing right now, this eclipse season, which I actually just reopened because there's a lot of people that want to jump on.
Okay.
And you can totally still do it. It doesn't have to be you start at the start time. It's like we're doing the same practice. So you can do it. It is a practice that really, really, truly will help you to kind of navigate and I don't know what the word is, but really, really use what's available right now, like the resources available in this eclipse season. It's beautiful for that. So you should just jump in and join us.
Okay.
Because if you do it one day, do the practice one day, and you'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but the mantras, so mantra is such a powerful practice, and mantra is based on the nod, or the science of sound current. So everything, the ancient sages and the rishis have been saying for thousands of years that everything is vibration, right? The yogis knew that, but now science tells us that, right? There is no solid form. Everything is vibration. So the nod science takes this in as if everything is vibration, and we create there are these certain sounds basically that make up the universe. So not every sound is even nod, but it's these certain sounds that are the building block vibrational sounds of the universe. And if we create a practice out of using those, how transformational could that be? So we have all these, most of our thoughts, I think it's I was meaning to look this up recently, but I think it's 70% of our thoughts are subconscious. Right? 70% of the thoughts that actually run through our head are from the subconscious, which is tremendous. And anyone who's kind of taken a look into their subconscious, it's a very fun place, right? That's where all the crap is. So if 70% of what is running through your mind on a daily basis is this track of, usually negativity and old stories, then that's really informative to go oh, okay, so how am I creating my life when that's the bulk of what's going through my mind all the time?
Yeah.
It's a little scary. So the idea with mantra is that we take that sort of track of the subconscious and we match it with this mantra, this super powerful vibration, and it cuts it. So the mantra comes just like a knife and cuts through that subconscious track. And then in its place plants these nod sound currents, or these sacred sounds. And then you begin to resonate this whole different track, this whole different vibration. So in Kundalini Yoga, for instance, the mantra we use all the time is Satnam, which means truth is my identity. So you can think if you could train your mind to be vibrating all the time this sound Satnam instead of the 70% subconscious crap, and then think about what we're actually aware of. The 30% isn't that great either, right? It's usually our neuroses.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Neuroses. We're led by our neuroses, and then we create a life around our neuroses. But think instead, if you had this Satnam, if instead your whole mind, your whole being was saying and vibrating truth is my identity, even if you changed a little piece of that, a little piece of that mind track, that's a huge transformation.
Yeah.
For me, mantra, I wasn't introduced to mantra until I started Kundalini Yoga, and it's probably why I first really fell in love with the practice. It really moved me. I had some, and I've written about it on my blog, I've had some incredible healings with mantras, deep, deep healings with mantras, and I truly believe in the power of the sound current. And what's really cool is that it's something that anybody can do.
It's so accessible. Yeah.
And Kundalini Yoga is a pretty intense practice, as things go. A lot of the exercises are pretty intense. But everybody can do mantra, right? Everybody. So it's very cool when you're chanting these mantras. It's not just the vibration. It's also that we have these 84 meridian points on the upper palate. So when you chant the mantras, you're actually it's kind of like a code. Your tongue is touching these meridian points which access different areas of the brain in a certain rhythm. And by creating that rhythm, it's like tapping.
I was
like,
just going to say, I do tapping a lot.
Yeah.
Very similar. Okay, great.
It's very similar. It's the same idea. So that tapping of the tongue rolling into the meridian points, starts to activate the different centers, starts to activate like the pituitary and the pineal gland and all this stuff going on. So there's these actual physiological changes in the brain that occur from doing the mantra. Yeah, it's such a powerful practice.
Wow. I feel like I want to cry. I'm very emotional listening to you talk about this. Keep it together. Okay. This is very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. It's hitting me very deeply. And I just recently started getting up really early in the morning, which I am not this person. Like, this is not. I have like a baby, and I'm not a morning person. I'm very, very grumpy in the morning. But I've started getting up at like 4:15, and I can't wait to. Yeah, and I can't wait to start kind of digging a little deeper in this and maybe incorporating this into that hour.
That's the perfect thing to do. It really is, because it's the angle of the axis of the Earth makes it this hour where not only is the mind steadier and calmer, and so you're able to meditate better, but also just energetically, it's the perfect time to meditate.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Well, I'm just gonna take that personally and put that in my pocket.
Yeah, I totally happy to suggest like some mantras or a meditation or something, a practice for you to do. Yeah, that's me too. I get up really early, and right now my husband built me this sweet little like meditation deck. So when I get up, it's still dark out, and the sky in Hawaii is like I chased the skies across the desert this summer, and I didn't find the sky I was looking for until I went to Hawaii. It's so magical. You can see the entire Milky Way. So I sit out there in the morning before the sun gets up, and I get it. There's like always shooting stars, and I get to just like look at the stars, and it's really beautiful.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I need to make my way to Hawaii. I was talking to some other women in Hawaii, and I was like, I think it's time for this winter. We gotta get down there and see some Hawaii skies. That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, what else? So originally when mantra spilled out of my mouth instead of mala, tell me about, I would love to hear your process with this jewelry, because I was looking at your jewelry and the malas, and that's more like vibrational medicine than anything. I mean, I'm looking at them, I can tell, and now just speaking to you in your process of how those are created, I'd like to hear a bit more about your creation process.
Yeah, so coming to make the jewelry was kind of funny. Many, many years ago, when I was a stay-at-home mom with my kids were young, I had some old family jewelry, and I loved it because it was sentimental to me, but it was, older jewelry and not a style I would wear. So, I was pretty bored at the time.
I get it, yeah.
I would take the jewelry apart and recraft them, right, into like modern things, but using the old pieces. So that was like a kind of a hobby I did, and I sold some pieces for a little while, and then things moved on, and I at some point when I first started practicing Kundalini yoga, or when I started practicing Kundalini yoga and adopted this mantra practice, it became something that I do all the time. Like I mantra when I cook, and I mantra when I clean, and a mantra all the time. Especially in the beginning, it was like it was 24/7 mantra. I would actually wake up with mantras in my head. But so at some point, I was like making some jewelry just for myself and beading, and I was chanting the mantras, and all of a sudden I noticed, I'm pretty energetically sensitive, so I feel changes around me. I noticed that the stones were different, the beads were different. They were not acting the way that they had before I had been chanting the mantra, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool. And again, it was just kind of a hobby at the time, so I put it away. So years later, I got this I went through this phase of having like these messages. My messages would come in the bath. Like I would get like lightning bolts every time in the bath.
Of course,
like,
of course. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So in the bath, and all of a sudden I got this vision, and this is kind of how I live my life. Is like I wait for the message, and when I get the message to do something, you know, I honor it and follow through to the best of my ability.
Yeah, and when you live that way, you appreciate the quiet time because it's like
right. Yeah, like right now I'm not in a quiet time, and I was just thinking the other day, like, dang, like no, like I never get asked, like, do I want to do this? Because I'm having to do some stuff that really scares the shit out of me lately. Like I've been in this process of doing things almost daily that terrify me, and I'm like, do you know, like, do you want to ask me sometime, like, if I'm like up for this? But no. So anyways, I got this message, you know, this, I saw a vision was what it was really more than anything. And this message that that I needed to start a jewelry business, and saw this vision of it, but it was like an energetic vision, right? And I could see all this energy behind this idea of this jewelry, like tremendous energy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, you know, I had no plans of like starting a business or starting a jewelry business or anything. And I was like, all right. So the next day, this lady I had never met calls me and she goes, I'm opening up a yoga studio and somebody gave me your name. Can you make a bunch of bracelets for me?
Oh my God.
And I was like, well, yes.
Actually, I can. Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow.
You know, obviously at that point it was like, you know, mostly what I was doing was teaching. So it's a very easy blend for me to know that, okay, this is going to be jewelry that's infused with the mantra, because then it, you know, it really is an offering from my heart.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, vibrational medicine.
Absolutely.
Do, like, in particular, because you asked about the malas. Malas take like an hour and a half to 2 hours to knot. So that's a lot of time that I get to spend like in that field with them. And the stones, you know, I've found, for me, it's pretty easy to pick up a stone and just know kind of what it's about, what it does and what it's about, and feel its energy. So some of them, it's almost like at that point they kind of call to the mantra that would be fitting for them. Like if it's a water stone, you know, it's going to call to a mantra that really kind of invokes the water element, or, you know, or whatever. So matching, like pairing the two is just kind of this intuitive process. And I really feel like more than anything, they just kind of ask for like what they want. And it always ends up being like, if you know, really get into the meaning of the stone and the meaning of the mantra, it always is like dead on. They know what they're asking for.
Yeah.
So making the jewelry is just, you know, making it and then the whole time chanting the mantra into it. And stones are really, you know, especially when you let them ask for the mantra that they want, like they really are like, they're like little sponges. Like they soak it up, and you can feel.
They carry stories.
Feel the difference.
Yeah.
You really can feel the difference in them. It's like, it's just this beautiful alchemy of these energies, taking this, you know, this sound vibration, this sound current. And so then what's really cool is then, you know, you can't necessarily, you know, if you're working in an office job or whatever you're doing in your daily life, you can't necessarily be chanting mantra all day long. I mean, maybe silently, but, you know, we have these very busy, active lives. But you get to have this piece on you or whatever that carries that for you, so that it's continuing to kind of imprint that into your auric field and into your vibration, so that you're always having that like kind of woven into your sphere, even when you can't sit down and do a meditation practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I've thought that's never really clicked in the way that it just did for me just now when you were saying that. The way that you just presented that, it kind of connected a few dots that weren't connected for me. So thank you. That's really beautiful. Wow. So thank you for offering all of this information, and I can't wait to see more about. I mean, this is personally, I am very ready for more of the Kundalini yoga. I am like really excited about that and really excited to dig in. So thank you for sharing so openly today, and like being willing to be in service. You are so like in your service. It's so beautiful. I'm actually a little bit speechless right now. So thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I feel so honored to have you.
super excited to connect and connect with everyone else. And yeah, there's like, you know, such beautiful things out there happening. And like, I think your vision for this whole project is so beautiful. I've been feeling like the same thing for about a year now. Like this constant kind of like hum in the back is about connecting with other women that are like ready to step to their truth and step into their power, and really like making a very strong kind of net there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll accomplish more as a group. You know, that's what, so,
Absolutely. And I think, you know, it really is a beautiful time for women to be like coming into that and rising. And I totally love your vision. It's dead on.
Thank you. And I'm hoping we will have a Modern Priestess Mala to announce soon. So you and I will talk more about that. And hopefully by the time this goes to air, we'll have a bit more information to share about that. So if anyone's, you know, loving this movement and loving your work, that's like a beautiful fusion of the two energies. So thank you for your time. Enjoy California and being back among like society for a little while. I hope it's easy for you. I hope it's not too strenuous.
No, it's like nice to have, like, I was just thinking about like running the water. Like I can run water, you know. We don't have water when the power's off. So like we don't have water when we wake up in the morning or like at night. So you know, this morning I was brushing my teeth and I was like, there's water.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's been such a joy to connect with you. I feel so blessed today. So thank you. Thank you, Jessica, for being here.